All right. Hello everyone. Trust you are doing good. Yes, so welcome to my live stream. This is actually my first live stream on my YouTube channel, and I'm glad that you are all here. So please pardon me for 1 second. I might be looking at this. That's because I'm looking at my second monitor, and that's where I want to keep track of the chats of the communication, just to make sure that I'm just reaching out to everyone basically. Right. So my name is Nasir Karim. If you are just joining me for the first time or seeing me for the first time, Nasir Karim. I'm a motion designer all the way from Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm really, really passionate about what I do. And I'm so happy that I could do this and share my knowledge with you. If you are new to my channel, I would say you should subscribe, right? Because I actually dish out weekly tutorials, almost weekly tutorials nowadays, actually, right? And one of the things I would like to do more often is project breakdowns, and I feel like that will give you guys more value than trying to just get random tutorials. So I want to work on exciting project and then share all the secrets, all the behind the scenes with you. All right. So yeah, uh let's just get to it without taking so much of our time. But meanwhile, I'd like to say welcome Ogunleye Samson. Please kindly drop a chat so I will know that you are here, and then I will be happy to just say shout out to you. So drop a chat as you come in, just drop a chat so I can just shout out to you guys, and I appreciate you guys for coming. Right. So without taking so much of our time, let me first of all play the video. Right. I want to play the motion. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have seen it, but I just want to play it one more time so you guys can have an idea of what this is, right? And then we'll move on from there. Paul, it's good to have you. Thank you. So let me just work on that and then we'll kick off from there. So just give me like a second. I'll switch the screen soon. Okay, great. So let me switch my screen now. Okay, so I'm playing this from my Vimeo account. So just confirm if you can, see this and get this very well. All right, I really hope you guys have seen the video, and then now I want to dive in deep more into the project breakdown. Or maybe before I do that, let me just show you guys some things about myself. So let me just quickly do this. I don't know why I keep freezing here, but let me just quickly fix this so that I can see me live. I'm pretty sure you should be able to see me live. So first of all, this is my portfolio page. It's on my Vimeo. I use Vimeo as my portfolio, and then you can just go in there and check my works. I will actually drop some links very soon so that you guys can have access to the link. And of course, you can follow me on LinkedIn. Some of you know me on LinkedIn already. And of course, my YouTube channel, make sure you try and check it out. My Instagram handle as well at nas.k_works, and of course my Behance page, right? So I'm going to start from here. So let me just bring out this project here first. So first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the project, how it came to be. Basically, it's a passion project. Actually, it's a concept project. So so let me give you guys a tip on how to work on passion project like this. Take a particular real brand that you know, right, and you think their brand is really cool in terms of their logo, their branding, their colors is really cool, even the typography is really cool, and then just change the name and then still maintain the colors, maintain the typography. That's what I did. Maybe some of you will know the brand I actually use for this, but I won't say it. That's what I will say. So basically, it's a passion project, and as you can see from here, PayNow is like a fintech which they actually give out the virtual cards. They actually have the virtual cards to enable payments on online platforms basically. And I just, I decided to just come up with some ideas to really, really sell that. And because I'm trying to expand my reach in 3D and also grow my skills in 3D, I decided to just do a 3D motion graphics for this. And then, of course, you will see the rest of this. I also did a 3D billboard for it as well, right? And you can just go through my, my Behance page and then see all of this. Maybe you see a little bit of some sketch here, right? You can see that this sketch is actually very, very close to the original. I'm not like amazing in drawing, but I was able to find my way to make sure that I was able to get across, do my pre-production really, really well, right? And then I think enough about this. Let us go straight to Cinema4D now. So I'll fire up my Cinema4D. So let me start with the icons, right? So the way I get to do these icons, most especially the 3D icons. So let me set this up first, right? These 3D icons where you can see we have for majorly all the brands, right? Windows, Spotify, Office, and the rest of it, right? So what I did was actually quite simple. So let me so I was able to get the logos online, like the SVG logo, and I'll show you a little bit on how I get to achieve that in a bit. Let me just bring up my file. All right, so if you can see my folder, right? So these are all the logos that I downloaded, all the SVG logos. So basically what I did for, let's say for Adobe now, I'll just click this, right? For instance, and I'll drag to Cinema4D, right? If I do that, all I need to do is just click OK, and then I can have access to the logo this way. Okay, please just give me like a second. I want to quickly check to make sure that I'm following, and then just confirm if you can hear me. So let me just quickly check. There'll be a little bit of lag, but okay, I don't think anybody's complaining about sound. So Ogunleye, Paul, Michael, thank you for being here. I really appreciate. So let me just continue. So when you drag in the Illustrator file or the SVG file from Illustrator to Cinema4D, automatically it gives you something like this that you can already work with, right? Another side note, right? This project breakdown is, if you're a beginner, you might struggle with understanding some things, but at least you need foundational knowledge, you need basic knowledge, you must have had some form of experience with Cinema4D or After Effects so that you can really understand some of the things that I'm doing. And even though you don't really understand, I have a very, very juicy, very something interesting for you, but you might have to stay tuned to the end of the live stream so that I can actually announce that to you. So I'm pretty sure it's something you want to look out for. So make sure you stay to the end of the stream so I can tell you something that can really help you to, maybe have access to the project files. But then hold on. Okay, so let's go. So if you can look closely to my project panel here, object panel here on the Cinema4D, this is the SVG logo icon, which is for Adobe. This is actually Adobe own logo. And with this, if I look around of this, you can see it's actually very flat. But with this, and I can come down here to the object, I can increase the depth, right? So with just few clicks, I can have the SVG logo in 3D, right? And then if you want to still have access to some of these maybe objects the way it is, I can click on this, right? Then come down to hierarchy. And by the time you do that, you can have a drop down here, the null, and then you can now see all the objects that actually make up the whole logo, right? So that's how I get to bring in all these logos, right? And if you can check, these are all the 3D icons that I use. I think there are about 25 of them or 24 of them that I use. And I actually did this all process for all these logos. So if this for Envato, so if I activate this, so I'm holding on Alt and double clicking this traffic light here. So this is for Microsoft Word and this for Microsoft rather. And you can see, I can pan out, you can see that they all have some their own depth. So this is for Spotify, right? So I did this for everything, and this house I just took all of this, and then I started developing my scene for the very first scene that I have, right? So let us start with the very first scene 1 now, right? So I will start from let me say the background, right? Or let me zoom out a little bit. Let me just pan out a little bit. Sorry, you guys can see the whole scene from outside. As you can see that this, there's this. You can see this up dome there, and The reason I have the app dome is actually for the lighting. I'll get to the lighting soon, but let me talk about the model first. So I have this app dome. Let me open this up, and if I open up the floor and icon, so this is the app dome. Let me just hide this for now. Right now, let me now zoom into the scene very well now, so I can start isolating some things and show you how I get to achieve some things here. Right. So coming. All right. So let me start with the grid background, basically, or the grid floor. So practically what I did was, let me isolate this. So practically what I did was just have a cube, right, and I put it in a cloner, and I make sure that the cloner is in grid form, and I also increase the count in the, I believe, X and Y axis, no, X and Z axis. So that's practically what I did to form this. So, and of course I needed to adjust the size too as well over here. So that's practically how I get to achieve this. Please, if you have any question, make sure you drop in the chat so that I can see if I can answer some of your questions. I might not be able to answer all, but at least I should be able to answer some of your questions. So that's how I get to achieve this background grid. And of course, that's the floor and the icons. So let me go straight to the icons now. If I click on this, right, and let me make sure that this is at the beginning, right. Let me just move this forward a little bit. Check this. Okay, great. So basically what I first of all did was to arrange all this icon in a grid form, or basically rather I actually put them in also in its own cloner as well, right. So let me deactivate this, okay, great. So I actually put it in its own cloner as well, which is also grid, right, and I make sure that it has this perfect, perfect, almost like a perfect square shape, right, and sitting well on the background, all right, on the grid background, as you can see. So and now I'm going to get straight into the animation part. So basically what I did was to add a plane effector. So if you want to add a plane effector, you can come here and then add a plane effector. And practically what I did to that was to add some parameters, which is position, rotation, and scale, right. So I adjust the position on the y-axis, because if you can see, if I activate this now and the animation, if I play this from the beginning, right, you can see that it's coming from the center, like it's coming like downward, like that's like the y-axis, right. So the plane effector enabled me to do that. Then while I did that as well, I also used the fields. So the field that I used was the spherical fields, and what that enabled me to do was to control each of the objects within the cloner. Okay, control each of the objects within the cloner. So just give me a second, let me check what's happening. I want to know if there's any chats or anything at all. Okay, no chat yet. All right, please make sure you share this link with other people, right. Make sure you share this link with other people, if just in case they probably will be interested. Okay, let's go on. Okay, you have just 2 questions. Don't worry, I'll get to it. So the spherical field is what I now use to control the plane field, basically, right. And by so doing, let me even say one thing. When I use the spherical field alone, it was doing quite the opposite, right. It was doing quite the opposite. So I needed to enable or activate the invert, and I used that by just coming to this part here, and then I added invert to it. And when I added invert, it was now doing quite the opposite. So that's how I was able to achieve that. Okay, so that's the floor and the background. And again, for every other thing, was just simple. Let me see, the other thing that I have here, right, this popping up was just simple. I created a rectangle, so let me deactivate this, and then let me select this, maybe you can see it. So I created this rectangle, right, and then I put inside the extrude, I believe it's called, what's it called again, I think called builders, or I don't know what they're called, I can't remember, right. or generators. I think they're called generators. So I put inside extrude, and that's how I was able to have this solid, right, solid thing. Then of course I had my text, and of course because the text is permitted to be solid, and I of course put them in one null, right? And because I needed to make sure that I wanted to use an effector on this, right, so that it can come from the bottom up. So I added a plain effector with a linear field. So let me uncheck this so that you guys can see clearly, right? And if I just put this way, so if I play this now from here, right, now we are focusing more on this pop-up, right? And by the way, of course, I have my animation. Of course, I needed to do some keyframing as well, right? So I just do a little bit of keyframe, and of course, I added delay to make sure it's is spring. I change it to spring, increase the strength a little bit so that it will just spring, like it will have this overshoot. Basically, that's what I did. Then I think that's it pretty much. If you have questions, let me just note it down, then I'll get to you. Then the next thing I have here is the camera control. So I have different cameras basically. So this is actually the very first camera, as you can see, right? So this isometric camera is that's what built up the first scene, right? And then I have other cameras that I tried. So this is the top scene, right? Then these are some alternative camera that I was trying to use to see what will work. But I actually used the first and the second camera for the scene itself, right? And then, and I think to now one of the most important parts, which is the lighting, right? So apparently you won't believe it for some of us that are probably still new to Cinema 4D or still struggle with a little bit of lighting. I actually use one light in the scene. So let me uncheck the camera and then zoom out a little bit. So this is the light that I use. Just I'm actually using Octane. I'm going to open Octane. So this is the light that I use. You can see that it's in circular form, right? And I increase the brightness a little bit, right? So one thing that also helped the lighting with the old scene was because of the half dome, right, that I used. And how did I get to create the half dome? So you can actually create this half dome by using cylinder and then modify it to achieve this. But I have access to Grayscale Gorilla Plus, and one of their lighting kits has something that I can use. So I'll recommend this anytime to save you a whole lot of time. And when I went straight to the Light Kit Pro, go straight to the this, I don't know what CSY, I don't know what it means, but basically they are just like backgrounds and things like that. I use the Apton, and that's basically what I use for this. And this combined with the light make the whole lighting of the scene really, really good. And for us to see that, I will have to fire up Octane for that. So let me fire up Octane for that quickly. So let me close this and let me activate this, and then let me switch to one of the cameras. So I'm waiting for my Octane to kick in. All right, so let me try and look through the charts and see how do I get C4D? How much do you charge for this kind of 3D animations? Thank you. Okay, great. I'm definitely going to answer that. While my Octane is trying to come up, I don't know why it's refusing to come up right now. I think it's kicking up. How do I get C4D? Well, you can check on Maxon's website. So I know that there is a thing about this whole 3D thing about, which one should I go for? I use Cinema4D personally. I know that there's Blender, and Blender is actually for free, but I basically just use Cinema4D. I was trying to learn Blender, and I think I will still learn more about Blender, but I'm already used to my workflow with Cinema4D, and I didn't want to start stressing myself to start learning a new tool. There's, in short, I even feel like I'm not learning Cinema4D finish. Not talk of trying to get into Blender and trying to change my own workflow. It's actually going to take a whole lot of time for me, and which I don't really have. But by the way, I say I've Blender on my system. I think I can do one or two things with it, but Cinema4D is my workflow. So how do you get Cinema4D? You have to go to Maxon Cinema4D, and I know that you might have to pay, or some people have their ways, and I think some people download the crack version and all of that. But I'll really suggest, if you can afford it, try and download it from Maxon Cinema4D, and then you're good to go. How much do I charge for 3D animations? Well, this is that question is kind of tricky because it's depending a whole lot of some factors, right? It depend on, let's say for this kind, of course, between us, I would say I would like to profile I would have profiled the client or profile the brand or profile the company to know what they can afford. But of course, when it comes to something like this, right, I would say don't go below $2,000. Even some people, that's ridiculous for them to charge, right? Don't go below $2,000, right? But if you are just starting up and you think, oh, you really need some things in your portfolio, you can go below that, right? But for someone that you're already getting there, you think you don't know how to charge in dollars, and then don't go below $2,000 for this kind of work, because this is actually high quality stuff, right? For me, of course, I'll charge way more than $2,000, and um, yeah, I think that answer your question, right? But at least don't go below $2,000. That was what I was saying. So everything depends on your clients, the kind of client that you're dealing with, brand and all of that. So you're able to profile them to know how you can charge, right? So that was what I would say. So I think my octane is up now, and I think I would like to just take this back a little bit, right? And if you can see the lighting a little bit more. So let me just wait for the octane to come in some more. All right, so it's going to take some while to do. So by the way, I use Octane renderer. Some people use Redshift. Octane is my thing. I've not used Redshift before. I think I've tried to use Redshift, but I'm so used to Octane that I know how to just find my way around it. But one of the things I actually did here, I'm actually showing this because I really want you to see how the lighting plays out, right? You can see even with just one light, you can see how limited it is. Now, if I switch to this other camera, right, and then have this come out to the fullest, right, I want to show you how lit this is. So I think I have some bug here. It's not showing the text. I wonder why it's not showing the text, but that's fine, right? I just want you guys to see the Octane render and see how sharp it is just with one lighting. And I didn't even use HDRI for this, right? So quite interesting stuff, right? I think that's the end of scene one. So we need to go quickly. I think I've taken so much time to explain what I get to achieve the scene one and the 3D icons. And by the way, the thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, if you wait to the end, I just feel like I should just tell you guys now, but because some of you might be distracted or you might have something to do. So you can actually have access to the project files of this whole project, Cinema4D After Effects. You can have access to it. I think it's in the link in the description right now, but you would have to pay a token for it, right? So for this whole things that I'm explaining to you right now, I think for just $10, you can put in your price, right? But at least minimum of $10, you can get this. But if you just want the 3D icons alone, because I know how that can actually hasten your workflow if you really want to do something like this, you can get that for $5. So just check the link in the description or check my Gumroad for more details about that. All right, so let's go straight to scene 2, and let me switch to standard workspace for now so that we can just see how we can break things down. So let me just adjust all of this. So as you can see, if I zoom out really well, you can see that I have some elements in the background. Basically, I have this L-shaped backdrop, right? I have this L-shaped backdrop, very huge, right? And I also have this stairs kind of thing. And I actually do that by just putting cube in the cloner, and then offset it so in linear, and then I just adjusted it with the positioning here, right? That's how I get to achieve this. So if I increase the count, you can see that it keeps going up, and I can also adjust the positioning here. So that's how I get to achieve all of this. Okay. Then after that, let me now zoom into the scene itself, right? So let me open up the camera so you can actually see. So I actually have one camera set up for this. So basically what I did here was quite simple, So let's start with the card by opening up the card, right? So modeling the card is actually quite simple. So you can just take a plane and not a plane, actually use a cube to do this. I would really love to show that, but I feel like I might take so much time to show you how I get to model the card. I think it's actually quite simple if you have an idea about what modeling is, right? And then of course I have I have some of these icons that I have here. So let me just open that up, right? Let me just solo this. So basically you can see how I get to achieve this. Let me undo that and uncheck this. So you can see some of the icons that I use, some of the coin thing that I use. So basically, all I did was just model them and put them in position. Then I use I use a grayscale gorilla signal to actually animate this. And if you are really interested in that, let me know. I'll send you a link on how to make use of the signal. If I have to go into that, that would be a whole new segment for that. I don't want to really go deep into that. But I think one thing I would like to show you is how I get to achieve this paper plane going around. So basically, it's actually quite simple. So if I open this up, you can see my paper plane. So let me solo this. This is my paper plane. Basically, what I did was quite simple. I created a paper plane. I put it in a null, right? I put it in a null, and then I now attach. I attach a tag to it, which is aligned to spline. So if you go here, go to the animation tags, you can see attached to spline. And the spline that I created was the helix, right? And I created the helix, I did some adjustments. So when I did that, I just dragged in the helix for this, and then, so it was now, the paper plane was now attached to the helix. So it was now going around that. Then I also attach some emitter, right? Emitter, and I attach the board to it. And of course, because it's already permitted to the paper plane, it's just going alongside with it, right? Like I said, if you don't get some things, I really advise you go get the project file, and then you have better understanding of what I get to do this. I think one last thing I'd like to show you here is maybe the card, maybe the texturing, right? The way I texture this. So if I open up my materials, right? Some of the materials are actually, some of them, I got, because I have access to Grayscale Gorilla, you can have access to some of the materials, but some of these are actually very easy to create, right? But the one I would like to show you was the way I created the card, and actually I have to design the card in Photoshop in a way. So let me just quickly open up my Photoshop so I can quickly show you how I get to achieve that. So just give me a second. So my Photoshop is opening. As soon as that is up, I'll let you know. All right, so let me see if I have more questions. I think it's meant to be online payment platforms. What did I have there? Okay, maybe I'll check what I have there. I think that's what I had, but I'll check if it's wrong. I guess I'll have to make corrections. Please share the Behance link to the project. So let me quickly share that with you. I'll try and do that in the live chat. So just hold on. Let me switch to myself first. Okay, so just hold on. So I have shared the link, right? I have actually shared the link. So I really hope that will help. I'm trying to pin the chat. Okay. Anyways, I've done that. So let's go back to what we're doing. All right, let me minimize this. Okay, let's go. So let me fire up my Photoshop. Oh, this is the phone UI, not yet. I'm coming. Design, design. Okay, so firing up my Photoshop. Okay, so yeah, you can see my Photoshop now. This is how I get to design it. You can see all the layers that I use to just design this. Let me open the one in purple, or still in black. So this is the purple one. I'm trying to open the one that has a black color front side. Okay, great. So this is what how I get to design the card, right? So basically, I just come here, bring in the logo, do some things, and then I just have to now use that as a texture for the Cinema4D, basically. So I just want to give you, make you guys have an idea of how these things can actually be done, right? And I think I'm done with scene 2, right? If you have any question about that, let me know in the comment section. Let's go to straight to scene 3. So basically, scene 2 and scene 3, they're actually almost the same. I just changed, it's just a matter of changing the color and then the animation. So if you notice something about the animation in scene 2, right? So let me play this quickly. Of course, I have this rotated backward, just using simple keyframing, right? You can see at this point I have this going this way, so I use this as a match cut for the next thing, right? So if I go straight to scene 3 now and I play this, even though this, can you see? So practically what I did was actually quite simple. I duplicated the scene, right? I deleted all this background, right? And then impute new background, which is this pillar, right? And then of course change the color of to the scene that I really want, right? And of course the lighting that I use, which is the same lighting, is 3-point lighting. I think I have a top light, right? I have a top light, then I also have 2 lighting solution here, right? Let me uncheck this camera. I think they're getting the way. So if I open up my light setup for this scene, I actually have um, HDRI for this, and environment for this, and I also added some light and even added some ambient lighting for me to achieve this, right? And going straight to scene 4. So scene 4 is actually quite interesting. I think it will be the most challenging scene that I made because of the complexity, right? I wanted to do something with transparent glass, most especially with the phone, right? If I fire up Octane, you'll be able to see all this in the full details. Okay, so if I uncheck this now, let me zoom out and see what we have here, right? So this is the background that I created for it, right? This is the background I created for it, and these are some of the elements. Let me uncheck all this camera, right? So these are some of the elements that I created. So I just modeled all of these things really quickly, and of course behind it is the card that I've done, right? And then I make sure that, you know, I made some the icons. So let me quickly show you guys that quickly. Digital icons. So let me see if I can solo this, because I really want you guys to see this thing. You know what, let me fire up Optin first. So I want to check if there's any question. There are any question for me? Okay, no question for now. Please let me know if you have any question. Let me know if you need clarity on any other thing, please. Okay, so I'm trying to fire up Optin. Let my Optin come up, and then let me fire this up. Okay, so as you can see, right, you can see that I have some of the let me pause this right here so I can just go straight in here. You can see some of the things, the asset that I have here. So let me also uncheck the phone, right? Yeah, so we cannot focus on what we have here. So basically what I did was almost the same thing like what I did at the beginning, where, you know, I created a plane, right? I created a plane. Let me show you this because I think it's quite distracting and I really want you guys to see this. Yes, great. So what I have here is simple, right? If I move this, can you say this is happening? What I have here is actually quite simple. So if I check this, right, you can see I have box field. I actually used a plain effector here as well. And what I practically did was, added field. But if I check the parameters of the plane effector, so let's check the parameters first. So I actually use position and scale. So practically what I did was I make sure that at the center of the box, right, because I actually use a box field, make sure that the scale is actually 100%. Then anything outside that is actually 0. So that's practically what I did, and I just did a simple position animation to make it just slide, and as they are going, make sure that all of that is happening in that way, right? I really hope you guys get that. So let me uncheck this. Let me uncheck this. Okay, so I think yes, I'm done with this. Yes, I've explained the card already, and of course I have this dome, right? I still have this dome here as well, right? But if I activate this, you can see that the dome is there. And the essence of this dome is to allow light to bounce around, right? So the little lighting that I have within the scene is actually bouncing around it, so it enables the lighting to be really, really good and solid, right? Excuse me. So that's what I have here, right? And then I'll explain one last thing, which was a little bit technical for me. So let me do this, then block this, for instance, and then go straight to the camera. Let me go to the camera that I use. Okay, great. Why is it showing this? Okay, okay, great. So let me activate the phone again, right? So practically, this is the phone. If you check, I use a specular material for the phone, and then I now highlighted all the sites, because if you check the sites, so let me uncheck this and zoom in. So if you check the sides of the phone, right, you can see that it's actually white, and that's because I wanted to make sure that we can actually see the phone really, really clearly. So that's practically what I did, and I did that by highlighting the size, the edges, and then changing the color to white, basically, right? And one technical thing that I did here was, if you notice, I have like a cube or like a plank on top of this, and that's because when I was working on the lighting, like I said, this was like the toughest thing I had to work on, right? I have so many lights that I have to bring in here, and I noticed that the lighting was these big lighting that I have up here was getting in the way, so I needed to create this block light, right? So if I deactivate it, for instance, you can see that the light will be overblown, so I needed to create the block light, and then I created an octane tag, and I make sure that the visibility was nothing, right? So even though it's invisible in the scene, but the shadow that it is casting is helping out, basically, right? I really hope you guys are getting something from this. If not, I really advise you get the project files, and then of course reach out to me if if you have any question as well. Yes, so that's it for scene 4. Let me deactivate this. Okay, that's basically it for scene 4, right? And let's go straight to, I think that's it pretty much, right? So right now I'd like to go straight to After Effects. So basically what I did was I rendered all the scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. I rendered everything, and then I rendered everything in PNG sequence. So I'm going to fire After Effects now, and you guys will be able to see that. So let me just do that right now. Okay, so let me just quickly do that. I think I can minimize this of After Effects. Well, let me check if I have any question or anything. Okay, I have a question. How long did the project take me? The project it took me a while, actually, maybe about, let's say, 2 months, and that's because I was between project. Basically, I was going in between projects. Please just give me like a second. Okay. Yeah, so I think it took me about 2 months, right? 2 months for me to get it done, if not more, right? But let's say about 2 months. But I was working between projects, in between actual projects and things like that. So that was how long it took me for me to get it done. Um, So let me see if there's any other question. Okay, none for now. Guys, I really want to appreciate you, Abiodun, appreciate you, Oluwapelumi, Michael, Paul for being here, Obule, thank you for being here. If you are here, if you're not drop any chat, please make sure you drop a chat so I'll know you are here and then I'll just give a shout out. Okay, so let me just go straight to After Effects now. So let me go back to this video. Okay, great. So this is my After Effects, and as you can see, I've imported. So the very first thing I did was imported all the scenes, right? And you can see this is scene 1, right? And I didn't really do so much of compositing. Basically, all I did was just bring it in, then added color correction, basically. Yes, I totally agree with you, Abiodun. A personal project is actually very, very important. All right. I didn't even know that it's actually going to come out this great. I didn't even know how much that I know until I actually did this personal project. So I'm actually working on another one, which I think is going to be really, really more fun than this. So I really, really advise everyone to up on personal projects. If you keep doing client project that you don't really love or you don't really like, personal project is your way out, right? And that will really, really help you. Pop Studios, thank you for being here. I really, really appreciate. Thank you. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going, guys. Let's keep going, guys. So yeah, basically, so this is the scene 1, right? All I did was just apply color correction to the scene 1. So this is, let me take this to the end. So this is without color correction. This is without with color correction. Basically, you can see the difference just to bring out the saturation and then the contrast, right? If I go back and then I just have to now match it with the second scene, right, which is the um, second scene here. So as you can see, so if I double click this, practically the same thing, right? Practically the same thing. Yeah, then the third scene. So basically, I just match cut, right? Match cut it to the next scene, right? And if you are wondering how I get to achieve this text with the O-glow, so it's actually quite simple, right? So let me solo this text. So you can see that the very first one was just made easy, and that's one that has glow. So I actually use deep glow, and I change the color to, I make sure it's the green color, of course. And what I did was I used a text animator, of course, and the animator that I used was just simple opacity with the range, right? And I animated the offset. So I think what I did was, so let me just open this. So if you want to achieve something like this, normally you see add. So make sure you change it to subtract, and then make sure the opacities are 0 that you are adding to it, and then animate the offset. So of course I needed to tweak the start and end too as well for me to be able to achieve it, because the start and end, right, if I increase the stats, right, you can see it's giving me more text, right? But also adjust this. So basically what I did was I just adjusted in a way that is only showing me one text, right? So let me undo all of that, and then after I did that, and I just duplicated it, and then have the text animator that just aligns with revealing it that way, basically. And of course that's just disappears. So if you really want to know all the things that I did here, just make sure you get the project files. You will get to go into it, then see more of all the magic that I did here. Same thing with the other text too here, right? Same thing with the other text, right? As you can see, which is really, really cool. And I think the last thing here, which you guys will be really interested in, is the end frame. A lot of people actually commented on this last scene, right? And to be honest, I would just have to, where I get to know how to do this kind of transition, right? I don't think I will do justice by trying to teach you. So let's quickly go online and then show you where I actually got the tutorial from, and you guys can watch it because the guy did an excellent job in doing that. And just give me like a sec, please. Just give me like a second. Let me quickly do that for you, and then I'll drop the link in the chat so that you guys can actually check that yourself and see how that goes. So let me quickly do that. Just give me like a sec. Meanwhile, drop your question. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to know. Oh, okay. Michael Kayode, thanks for being here. Olawale Adaja. I hope I did that correct. I pronounced that correctly. Sorry if I didn't. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Abiodun, thanks for your engagement. And yes, your match call tutorial is still saving lives. I'm so glad that that match call tutorial. If you check my page, my YouTube, of course, my other videos that I've uploaded, I actually have a match call tutorial, and you will learn a lot from what I did, right? And it's not just match call. I showed you different techniques that will really, really help you to learn how to do really, really cool match calls. And just check it out. Let me quickly even show you guys that right about now. So where is it? Match calls. Where is it? Have I passed it? So let me just go straight to videos. Okay, where are you? Where's my match call tutorial? Yeah, this is my match call tutorial. So the video is actually 6K plus now on match call tutorial. So make sure you check it out. So let me just drop it in the link, right? Let me see. I can share here. Copy. So I'm going to drop that in the link. All right. So the link I just dropped now is for the match call tutorial. Make sure you check that. So let me quickly now check for the tutorial I talked about on how to achieve that kind of transition, basically. Just give me like a second. Try. I know I saved somewhere on my bookmark, so just be patient with me. Oh, great! I've seen it. So coming. Okay, so the tutorial is actually from Motion Design, from Motion XP. He has amazing tutorials. So I really recommend him to you guys. So let me just let me quickly fix my camera facing for a second and then move. Okay, great. So what this tutorial, it will teach you a lot about tunnels, how to create some mad tunnels, 2D, and I actually learned a lot from this. And if you really want to know how I get to achieve that, this is the tutorial you need to watch. So let me just drop that in the link in the description as well, or in the chat basically. So let me just drop this. So yeah, so that's how I get to achieve that. So let me go back to After Effects. So basically I just did that technique, right? So let me open this up. Right, so this is the tunnel here. So let me open one. Right, so basically this is what I did here. Can you see? So it's just coming down here, right? I make sure it's aligned with the shape of the logo that I made, right? So, and the way I achieve this is to make sure that, hold on, let me see, I use, yes, alpha mat, right, and alpha matted to this shape, right? So sorry, this will minus from it, and I also added a little bit of some, I think I added drop shadow if I'm not mistaken. Okay, I didn't add drop shadow here. Maybe I added drop shadow here. Right. There's drop shadow somewhere. I think I added drop shadow in the I'm coming. I think content group. Yeah, I'm coming. I'll find that out very soon. Yes, in the layer style. So I added drop shadow to it so that you can see that. Let me make sure this is full. Right, you can see that this is giving that depth, right? So this drop shadow, I actually animated the drop shadow, right? So it's really giving that depth. So, and all I practically did was just duplicate it so many times, and of course rotated it as well, and then match cut to the logo icon, and then I just have this basically. So yes, so I think that's it pretty much for some things that I have here, right? I just have a simple zoom animation here. I added adjustment layer and I added transform, and I just allowed this to just scale out a little bit more to give that continuous movement, and then match cut to this, right? You can see how that cut works, right? And then just make it very seamless. Then one other thing, so I struggled a little bit when I was trying to make sure this works. So you can see that there's this flip here. That's because I needed to add, actually had to do something really smart here. So without this CC repeater, can you see that this is all I have here, right? So because I was trying to scale that in as well, and I really wanted to make sure it flows with that end frame, with that end scene, right? And this was a serious challenge for me. I just said, okay, you know what? Let me add CC repeater, right? So that it will, you will hardly notice it. You think it's just a continuous, a continuous scene, right? And when I just did that, that was just a simple fix that I used for that, right? All right, I think that will be all. Let me see if there's any question, if there's anything at all I would like to answer to in the chat. Uh, Pop Studio. So there's no chat, there's no question for me right now. What I will say right now is, I would really advise you guys to try and get the project file so that you can actually dig in deep. There's a whole lot more that I've done, right? There's a whole lot more that I've done to the animation, right? And if you go straight to my Gumroad, right? Let me go straight to, yeah, let me hold on. If I go to product, this is actually my Gumroad. So you can see that I have the 3D logo icon. So just in case you want to do drag and drop into your own 3D project. So if I click on this now, so I'm supposed to be viewing it. Let me just copy this, copy, and then go to the side and paste. Okay, so yeah, so these are all the 3D icons, right? So you can actually get this for $5 or more, right? If you want to, you want to encourage me, I would really, really appreciate it. So you can just simply drag and drop those 3D files into 3D objects into your own project. That would be really, really, really cool. I think it's going to be useful for you. But if that's what you are interested in, but if you are interested in the full project that I just showed you guys now, this is where you will get it. I'll be dropping the link in the chat too as well. So let me just show you guys this. So yeah, so this is it. So you can actually get this if you want, and for just token of $10 you get the whole project, or $5 you just get the 3D icons alone. So let me just drop this in the chat right now. And meanwhile, if you have any question, make sure you drop it so I can answer them before we go. We are coming to the end of this now. So okay, I think the dot eating pushing the P was a brilliant one. I really enjoyed it. Oh, thank you so much. Please show out a little bit of that part. Okay, great. Let me. I can show you a little bit of that part. So let me go back to that, and then let's. If that's the only thing, I'll dive in a little bit quickly. That will be fine. So let me just fit to screen. Um. Okay. Let me. I want to make sure I isolate the things that I really want to isolate. Right. So let me do this. So let me see what I have here. Okay, great. So basically you can see this is the dot, right? I've isolated it, this is the dot. And practically what I used was I use a cartoon Montblanc, but you can actually use Echo. So cartoon Montblanc is actually a plugin. You can actually use Echo. But the reason why I love to use cartoon Montblanc is because it will do the same thing Echo is doing, but it will not drag down your system because it's not that intensive on your machine, right? So cartoon Montblanc, and it's actually quite easy for me to preview and all of that. So practically what I did was did some position animation, right, on the x-axis. So if I play this, can you see? So when it gets to this point, right, when it gets to the point it slows down, it just goes from there. So if I uncheck every other thing that I have here, let me also everything. So yeah, basically I just wanted to introduce that dot one way or the other, and I wanted everything to be coherent, right? So basically what I did when this just come in, right, what I did was simple. I added a null. So this null on top is actually the position, right? So it's the position that pushed the entire thing to the side, right, and then introduce the logo basically. All right, so that's basically it. Let me know if that is really clear. Oh my god, I was not sharing my screen. I can't believe it. Gosh, I have to explain all that all over again. So sorry. Um, okay, let me quickly do that. Okay, great. So if I isolate this dot, right, you can see this is the dot here, right? So is this the dot here? And basically what I did was I used cartoon Montblanc, right? But if you don't want to use cartoon Montblanc, you can actually use Echo, right? But Echo just drag down. Echo is very hard to preview sometimes, but cartoon Montblanc is very easy to tweak. You can even do some more stuff with it, like crazy stuff with it, right? That's why I use cartoon Montblanc. So, but if you don't have cartoon Montblanc, you can use Echo, right? And then that's just what I use to have. So it's just simple positioning animation from right to left, basically, right? And then after that, if I uncheck all of this, so if I uncheck all of this, hold on, I actually have some things hidden. Okay, it has nothing to do with that. So if I uncheck all of this, basically so the idea behind the dot was I needed to introduce the dot, but I just don't want it to scale in and come in into the scene. I wanted everything to kind of tell its whole story or to be coherent in some form of way. So wanted to just introduce the dot to interact with the logo mark and all of that. So basically that's practically what I did, and then I added a null. I attached the dot and the logo icon to a null, and then that's what now gives the illusion of pushing it to the side, right? And then introduce the text of the logo as well here. So that's practically what I did. Let me know if that's clear. Okay, sorry that you couldn't see my screen earlier. I think that's it pretty much. All right. So let me just, I think we've come to the end of this, right? As I was showing you earlier, you can go to my Gumroad. I've dropped the link in the description, in the chat, and then you can try and have access to this. And everything I'm showing you right now, you have access to it if you get the project file, and you can have fun with this. You can recreate your stuff with it. In short, the After Effects is so robust that even the sound, you have access to the sound, you have access to the sound effect that I use. Nothing is missing. If you know that anything you see on the project is actually there. So if you can download, get the project files, you have access to everything there. So I really encourage you to do that. and I really appreciate it. And I think we've come to the end of the stream, right? If you notice that one other thing I didn't show was the 3D billboard. I feel like that would take more time, but the good thing is also part of the project file. So the 3D billboard, maybe I need to play you guys that from the project. So let me come down here. So this is the 3D billboard, right? And this is just the mock-up here. So all of these two, I created everything from scratch to the end. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Abdul. Abdul is a colleague of mine, somebody that I trained, but he has turned out to be a colleague because he's also very good now. We rub minds together with some creative ideas. I don't know if he's on the chat. I don't think he is right now, right? So we brainstorm together on how the creative direction is going to be. But I think I actually did everything. I model design, light, texture, everything, storyboard, everything from the beginning to the end by myself. And I'm really happy with the results. Anyways, what I would like to leave you guys with is simple, right? Just to advise upcoming designers or upcoming motion designers, right? Take your personal project really serious. Your personal project really serious. And even if it means you need to cut down on some clients, right? If it means you need to cut down on some clients, cut down on some brands, and take your personal project serious. Because since I've done this project, if you know the kind of engagement that I've been getting, all the kind of opportunities that I've been getting, it's crazy. All because I did one full like this project. So take your project really serious, because it will give you that's the only thing that will give you the window or the avenue for you to get the kind of jobs that you want, do the kind of project that you love, and then earn the kind of money that you want to earn. So from me to you guys, thank you so much. Make sure, if you are yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, make sure you do that. I really appreciate if you can. And then watch out for more project breakdowns in the future. And then see you. Please share this with everyone that you know that you think it might really help. And thank you so much. Shout out to Abiodun, shout out to Austin, Pelumi, Pop Studios, shout out to Blair, shout out to Michael, Olawale, Michael Ekanem, Ogunleye. Thank you so much. And for everyone that will be watching this later, thank you so much. And I'll see you guys later. Please make sure you feel free to, if you want to get in touch with me, you can send me a DM on my Instagram handle, right? If you check my YouTube, all my links are there. Send me a DM and I'll be happy to do that. All right, for now, thank you. Take care.